Hello and welcome to another episode of the Zee and Zed Show. I am Zee.
And I am Zed.
And today we're going to be talking about leveling up. Why don't you give a description of what we're doing today and then we'll get going.
Okay. Well, both of us have been 3D printing for about a year. And with this, it's led to some interesting things where we started out sort of as beginners. And both of us have sort of taken different paths in our journey, but I think we're now more considered hobbyists than beginners. So we've leveled up a little bit. As a disclaimer, as we always say, we do not claim to be experts on anything except our own experiences. Your experience with 3D printing is your own, and we encourage you to continue to explore and see what other people, share. They might share opinions with you, but what you find is best for you is what's best for you.
Yeah, so it's been quite the journey, and I feel like it's important to kind of look at what others are doing for inspiration, not necessarily as a strict guideline, but more of a suggestion or a potential path that you can take. So, I have had quite a few printers over the time of my 1 year printing. Like, I have a list, and the list is longer than I thought. Now, I typically don't pay full price for printers. I get a lot of parts printers and try to make them work, really just to learn about what printers are, how they function, how to get different types of printers working well, etc., to kind of gain the knowledge that I feel it's necessary once you start getting to custom printers. So I'll talk about the Voron 2.4 at the end, but all of this has kind of led up to that. And while it's not necessary to have the experience, it definitely helps when you're doing troubleshooting and tuning.
Yeah, I found that other people's experiences have helped me, but the biggest thing is sort of learning on my own, literally getting my hands dirty and injured and whatever else to learn how to work with the I have 2 3D printers now, kind of 2.5. So
it's true.
So yeah, but I guess so we're gonna talk about that. But let's start out with makes of the week. So what I've been making a lot. What have you been making, Austin?
I have not been making much. I've been making a printer. That's my make. I've been streaming almost every night over on YouTube on the Hedgehog Makes channel, and I've just been trying to get this thing done as soon as possible because I have a lot of other projects. This has been kind of lingering. Hi, everyone say hi, Ginger.
Hi, Ginger.
I haven't really had a Ginger appearance because I've been standing up a lot in my videos. So, not much Ginger, but I'll eat some today. But what's helped me is this right here. So without spilling everything, this is the hexagon parts tray. This is a remix by Steve Builds, and it adds some nice thickness in the back, and it's really nice for organizing all of your fasteners. It's really good for Voron printers because there's a lot of the same fastener, and there's a lot of them. So it helps you organize them as you're building, being able to just place a fastener down where it's supposed to go instead of randomly on a table. My parts tray that I designed, it's not as practical, let's face it. It's more for smaller objects if you have a lot of
Mine's on
random
display
stuff.
on my wall now.
Oh, nice.
It's wall art, yeah.
It is art. That's why I intended it for more than anything, but I'll send a link over to that in chat. Of course, Steve uses that quite a bit. It's a good first layer test because it's such a flat piece. So you get your first layer, there's no infill, so you're able to get your top surface as well. And then you're able to see wall quality. So it's actually a pretty good functional slash test print. So this is probably Maker Galaxy Dark Blue. It's nice. And actually have one in the Christmas green. What better use than a permanent hex tray, right? Always having a sample piece. So that's what I made that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also working on something, but we can get into that for the projects.
Ah, okay. Well, I've been doing a lot. Actually, the very first thing is something that's not quite complete. I've been printing it all day on MakerDeck, and this is by Nando, or DSK001. This is his TARDIS box. Well, you know, if you watch Doctor Who. So all the pieces aren't together, but I just want to show, since Bob Carnes is in chat, I put, it's Wexter mini sized, so I put Bob inside. But it's not quite together yet, so I'm still, that's one thing I've been working on. I was planning on doing it for a long time and kept on putting it aside, and then I was talking to Nando yesterday. I'm like, I still need to print your TARDIS. So that's one thing. I mean, I've been doing lots of things. This is my, I sort of get on a streak. If I like something, I like to print it quite a few times. So this is done in this. I actually did this. This is 3D Printy's mini shutter box. It's the neatest. I really love the way it opens and closes, and I really like his shutter box. Like that whole concept that you print this shutter. So I printed, this one's done in the Sparta prismatic yellow pink. And I really liked the shutter, but wanted to see, you know, because this is a silk, I thought, oh, maybe this won't be, it is really sturdy actually. But then I used the Polymaker Polylite Pro, right? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Sure.
And I used the orange and the pink. So it went with that color. And this is a very good container for your filament clips.
Yep.
What else have I been doing? Okay, so I did the TARDIS. Oh, and then of course, Easter is coming, and
Easter is coming right up.
I know. So many things are
happening.
So if you are printing models, there's quite a few. I think I showed last week Built Over Bots, Mando bunnies, and he's got all sorts of things, but totally off like his norm of what he creates. Our friend K2 Kevin has designed peeps, and not only are they peeps, they're flexi peeps. So I think I have different versions. I sort of went through all the different, so I think it ended up, he added extra flex. I did them all different sizes, all different filaments. So not only did he do, you know, your typical peep bunny, you know, really cute chick, that sort of thing. He did one which I think anybody, whether you like peeps or not, whether you like Easter or not, whether you like zombies or not, he did a zombie peep. So that one's pretty cute. So
yeah, I like that. That's definitely going to be a print. I should be honestly printing that right now. I don't know why I'm not.
Yeah, and I've seen people print it in all different colors, including a chocolate brown, so it sort of looked like a chocolate bunny. So the peeps, the peeps are really fun. It's almost Easter, so you know, but the 3D printy box, that's something that, you know, you could hide little Easter eggs in if you wanted to. Oh yeah, I did this one too. This is
or candies. Ooh, imagine that as a nice little. Well, think about like an Easter present. Load it with candy, give it to someone, and they open it like, wow, it's candy, and then they get to keep the box and play.
Yeah, it's a practical. Then it becomes a practical print.
Yeah, 3D printing shutters. I used it for the heart box first, and then I was gonna use it for the T box, but unfortunately that print lost power, and I don't use power zoom, so yay, go me. But I definitely want to do a couple more of those, and they're just fun to play around with too.
Some people gave suggestions of other things that you can do with the shutter box.
Yep, lots
so
of
I will
stuff you can store.
Yeah, and we'll put those links. We'll put those links in the description.
In the video description. Check that out.
All right. So the next thing is what have we been working on? What are our projects? And I think I'll go first because I'm sure yours is a little bit longer and you're going to be sharing links and things. So I just totally shook my laptop. I was having problems flashing the firmware for my Prusa i3 Mark IIIs. So with my Mark III, I went through to Prusa support. I also went through to non-Prusa support, so people who have Prusas. Was given a bunch of suggestions. We went through all the different possibilities. Even used Pronterface. Tried to, you know, was able to do commands from my Mac computers, like all my Apple computers, but wasn't able to communicate to flash the firmware. And they determined that it was an issue with the motherboard, which is, what is this, an Einsy RAMBo. So I set aside Saturday afternoon and I had some help and more someone to read the instructions and make sure I didn't, you know, destroy everything. And so I was able to replace, you know, all those different components, had to plug everything back in, and my printer works. I'm having one little problem, but I'm just going to ignore it for now. But my printer works. So this was, it kind of goes along with what we're talking about leveling up. A year ago, if you had told me that I would have taken a printer apart, every single cable, everything, and put it back together, I would have thought you were crazy. So yeah, I did it, and I only broke one piece of the door, which I reprinted, so now I have an orange door instead of a black door, and I survived. And I think that my assistant survived too.
Great. Well, we could talk a little more about that stuff when we get into the main topic. But thanks for sharing. And I know that's been kind of a pending issue / it's a kind of a pain. So I'm glad you got that done.
Someone says, oh, RC's like, I think it's NC. Well, apparently it's named after Einstein, so it's Einsy, but Einsy, whatever.
I've heard Einsy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't even want to start on how a lot of the manufacturers expect their name to be pronounced, because they are wrong.
I fixed it.
They're wrong.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Doesn't matter what.
So yes, Austin, you have been on YouTube for quite a few nights. It's actually I've left the stream on, and you've helped me go to sleep some nights, because your streams are always really chill. And I see some people that are in the chat here. They've been there participating, commenting, providing you with a little bit of advice or being entertained by your, but you are building a Voron. So tell us about that.
All right. Well, this is a Voron 2.4. It's a very special type of printer, where the bed does not move at all. The bed just kind of sits in the bottom here, and the whole entire gantry moves like back and forth like a Core XY, but also goes up and down. The whole thing is on a belted Z, so there's 4 motors for the Z, and it's kind of an insane printer, just like the concept of it. And I believe it was originally based off of a larger printer of the same type, and they decided to shrink it down because it might have practicality. And in terms of the different Voron printers, this one does have benefits over a Trident, where the Trident is a fixed gantry printer where the gantry is up here. This is a flying gantry versus a Trident, which is a fixed gantry, the gantry being the tool head part that goes back and forth on a Core XY printer. But long story short, I had a bunch of parts to build this. I reached out to a couple of different people, and they helped me get the rest of the parts. And apparently I'm building this pretty fast because it's almost done. I pretty much just have the board. Speaking of boards, I put Clipper onto this Manta M8P today. I'm getting that all set up, so when I do the wiring, I can just kind of use it or log in and start tuning right away. And if you're gonna be building a Voron, I strongly recommend a kit. Any kit is better than self-sourcing and trying to weed your way through buying from 1,000 different stores, or even just a couple, but you might be missing one part. I've had a couple of times where I've missed one part that's held up a specific section. I lost my mounts for the bottom for the DIN rails. I lost the DIN rails. I don't know where they went. I got them many months ago and they're just not around, so I had to buy those and I'm waiting on that to continue the build. But that's been kind of my big project over the last week. Haven't doing too much else. And I haven't really been printing either. I like to just focus on one thing at a time. And we'll get to this at the end, but more printers does not mean more printing because you have to manage your printers. If you have a big print farm, it's quite the hassle, to be honest. So we can get into that in the end, but I've been focusing on just printing ABS parts for this printer. And
Excellent.
I have been printing one thing that I designed. This! So this is a potential panel for my Plinko game for the live stream I'm doing on Saturday, this Saturday. Coming right up. Yeah, 25th. So this is 1/6 of the back piece. It's gonna be pretty big. And this will be a little Plinko game where you can win some prizes. I built this in Onshape in a couple hours and just started printing it. I'm doing it on the Kingroon, and it's not the best because up close it does not look great. I have to do a lot of tuning to that printer, but when the white's blown out, it looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks fine. You showed me earlier, and I was
it
like,
looks fine on the screen. Like, all right, yeah, I'll
me.
just do this as long as it looks good on camera. I don't care. In the back, I did Polymaker's draft PLA as much of it as I could, and I color swapped to white on the front. So I'm not using up all of my white filament. I have a ton of this draft filament. So that's a nice idea if you just need a front-facing something, but you need a little bit of extra strength. It's not the strongest, but it'll be good once it's assembled.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was actually having problems. This is really cheap filament that I got from Amazon, and I wasn't getting the first layer down at all. So I actually I used Magic-Goo. I did all sorts of things, and what I did is the first couple of layers in the sapphire blue Polyterra, and then I put this, because this is the perfect TARDIS color, but it's just not the greatest filament, so it ended up working out. But yeah, that's a really smart idea too, especially if it's something that you don't see the bottom layers, to use something like a draft. Yeah,
a draft or just like a cheap filament, etc. It helps with prototyping because it's not as bad if you lose a piece. I also been using that for test prints. It's the draft PLA for unaware is kind of like Polyterra. It's the same formula, but it's slightly different. So you can kind of expect it to perform similar to Polyterra. So
yeah,
it's black.
Yeah, I use the Protopasta recycled, which is similar to the draft, on my MakerDeck logo. And again, I had to do a layer swap to get the charcoal Polyterra for the top layers. And yeah, it works out really well.
And that works for any print too. Like if it's just a storage container or a coaster or something that's a big size, you could do, I might do 2 layers of the same color because the colors they are transparent. So you will get an odd color effect. I found this out when I was printing 3D printies, the heart container actually. I color swapped from a dark color to a light color, and the red ended up being pink or something, or the pink ended up being a different color. It was red, ended up being less red, more red, maroon. It was like, it turned darker because it was on black.
It'd be like pink and red.
Yeah.
Pink's here, so she's decided that she's going to stay awake and tease us. That's why I kept this pink on, for pink.
Yeah, just a tip, if you're printing and color swapping, I'd do at least 2 layers of the same color, just to make sure you don't get any major color deviations, unless you want that effect.
Yeah. Just play. Yeah. And the other thing is, if you're going to print something that's going to be a gift or something like that, that's not the time to experiment. Experiment with all your drafts. And I see Krusty's in here. He said, when all else fails, put pineapple on your pizza. And he knows I'm allergic to pineapple, so that's really mean.
I like pineapple pizza.
It's delicious, but I'm severely allergic, so there you go.
Dang.
I think since you are going to have a lot to say about your journey in 3D printing, maybe I'll sort of enter about my leveling up.
Yeah,
we've
go
talked
for it.
about this. We've talked about this a few times. I had no real prior knowledge except for watching a few people 3D printing on Twitch before Fix'em Dude and Krusty arranged for me to get my first 3D printer. And it's funny because I have the Time Hop app, and now I'm starting to see some of these first prints, and whew, they are very special because, of course, with the Focus, I started out with a glass bed, and I bought filament that I thought looked pretty. We talked about that last week, actually. Mm-hmm. If you go to last week's episode, we had a big conversation about filament. So I bought filament that looked pretty. I didn't understand adjusting temperatures. I didn't even know how to even start with something like a temp tower. I don't even know what the G code allows in a Focus. So anyway, I had a lot of trial and error. So from the very beginning, I had to start making improvements. One of the first things that I did was Glendon actually sent me a flex plate. So I put the magnet down, and I use a magnetic flex sheet. I several times over had to replace the hot end because it's a known problem. Over the course of the first few months of having that printer, I also, the Focus is very fragile with the ribbons. I had to replace the ribbons and received the accessory kit. I never had to replace the wheels, although I probably should do something like that at some point. I replaced the yellow springs with silicone spacers. The very first day, the thermistor detached, and I had to order was it Kapton tape? Mm-hmm. So I had to
wow, really
redo that. What else? I replaced the I had to reattach the heat bed thermistor. Then I also had a lot of problems with filament getting jammed in the gears, which is a known issue. I've helped so many people who have the same printer now. But in order to get to that part of the gears, you need to take the fan off, take the hot end assembly off. You have to take 4 or 5 layers. So Kieran, bless him, he walked me through, I think, the first time, and I messed up the screws because the screws are different sizes. And anyway, it took a lot of work. I put nail polish on the screws, so I know these are the ones that are on the outside. I lost my fan guard. Anyway, when you don't know these things, there's simple things that I had to learn, like always have a container for your parts when you're taking something apart. All those sorts of things. You know, I had springs flying and everything. So
like do a vase mode print like this. Doesn't use much filament, and you can store quite a bit of stuff in it. Yeah. So just some random vase.
Mine's a mini yep. Epcot.
Nice. So. I like it.
Yeah. So anyway, I learned how to do a lot. Then eventually, with that same Focus, I was given. Kevin gave me as a gift a BL Touch. And we tried for about 8 hours one day to install the BL Touch, learned that the wires weren't long enough unless I wanted to have it very dangerous. So that's still a work in progress to see if I can get bed leveling for that. So that was my first printer. And
so let me ask you, before we get too far.
Yeah.
Were you expecting these problems? Because this was your first printer, and you really didn't have any idea, or maybe some basic idea of printers. Were you expecting any of these issues to occur, and how much time you'd have to spend on the printer?
I had been told, and I had seen Chris Perillo do some maintenance on his Prusa Mini, so I had seen people flip their laptops. I had seen people replacing their hot ends and their nozzles, and do basic maintenance, but I didn't think I had no idea it was going to end up being that much work. So then as eventually I will say that when Dora was still at Focus, she did send me a new Focus printer. So now I have one printer that's parts, and the other printer does work fairly well. It doesn't work great, but it works fairly well. But in the midst of that, I was getting ready to go to Earth. I was streaming on MakerDeck regularly, and the desire for a printer that just worked was very strong. So I was given as a gift from a friend for all kinds of work that I had helped them with and everything. I was given the Prusa Mark III. So yeah, she is beauty, she is grace. The very first day that I had her, I printed a 10-hour print. It was gorgeous, and I actually did cry. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, this is a printer that just works. I've had some problems with it. Like I said, had to replace the motherboard. I've had 3 blobs of death that I have survived. But for the most part, it has been a very enjoyable experience. And the amount of tinkering I've had to do, most of it has been user error. And aside from that, it's been a pretty steady. I did have within the first couple of weeks, one of my fans unsoldered some of the wires unsoldered themselves. So I did have to replace the fan, and I decided not to do it the easy way, to do it the hard way. So I had to go all the way, rewire the whole shebang, and then just my recent repair. Aside from that, it's been pretty good. So if anyone's ever survived a blob of death, they know what it's like. And so from that, I have learned to never leave my printer alone without a camera on. So even if, maybe on MakerDeck, I have a smart plug attached so I can turn it off right away. And always, always, always keep an eye on the first layer, the second layer, the 15th layer. Keep an eye on things. As much as you think that you can do a 10-hour print and run out, it's not a good idea. So that's how I avoid the blob of death at this point.
Yeah, it seems like that's been pretty good for you, and I mean, you've done numerous good prints on that printer. And in terms of usability, it seems like, especially for you, that having a printer that just works, and not necessarily a printer that is uber fast with the the most precision ever, maybe that's the best option for you as a what would you consider yourself, a hobbyist now?
Yeah, I'm a hobbyist super user. I would say I'm a super user because I am printing every single day. Sometimes I'm printing every single hour of every single day. So I am a pretty right. This is the first time, I think, in a long time, neither printer is printing right now.
Yeah,
I was just
you're always printing.
It's so quiet. So I'm normally printing on MakerDeck, and even if I'm not printing on MakerDeck, I have people sending me things for test prints. I have, I'm having fun. I'm using all the filament that's behind me. It's not just display. These get used,
goes down.
And yeah,
yep.
It goes down. And so it's not just for looks. And as you can see, I've started actually putting some of my flat prints, putting them on the wall behind me for fun, and definitely I give a lot of things I print away. But yeah, I am a hobbyist power user for sure, with 2 printers.
Yeah, and I will say
there is room for more.
You print more than I do. You definitely print more than I do, because you're involved a lot more with the makers. You talk to them on almost a daily basis, and you're generally more involved in not the maker community, but with a lot of designers and etc. So you're able to see stuff that people make and print it right away, as well as just print whenever you want. So do you think that having just the 2 printers really, it makes you have to focus on what you want to print? like, okay, I can only have 2 printers, so I have to print. I can't print like everything. I gotta focus and pick some stuff to print. Do you feel like you're limited by 2 printers?
Yeah, for what I'd love to do, for what I'd really like to do in the course of a day, I find that having the 2 printers, yeah, I would love to have more. So
Okay.
that's something that I'm very interested in adopting. You know, we'll see what happens in the next little while, but there is room. There's plenty of room for more, and I have lots of filament, but yeah, as you mentioned, I do offer to test print things for people, and I'm also, you know, doing a little bit of design myself. So there's sometimes you have a printer going and you can't share what you're doing directly on MakerDeck, so that becomes a problem. And also, yeah, I want to do, if you want to do like a bigger project like this TARDIS, for example, it took me all day because I had to do. I did the door panels, you know, they were all one piece, but then the second part took almost all day. So if I had more than 2 printers, who knows what I could do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I feel limited.
All right, so you going from kind of a beginner to a hobbyist. You've definitely grown a lot. You've done quite a bit. You've done a lot more stuff than you thought you might have accomplished. Are you happy with the kind of the position you're in and the knowledge you've learned at this point?
I'm really happy that now I'm at the point where I can help people that come into MakerDeck chat. I don't necessarily know everything, but I do know where to direct them. I have this silly memory where I'm like, okay, this person is this printer, that person. Of course, you can see on screen on MakerDeck too. So you can refer people, you know, if you're not really comfortable. But there's some simple things. Because I've used printer, because with the Fokoos, of course, it doesn't have the auto bed leveling. That's one thing where I can help people, you know, who need to dial in their printers. And then, of course, I've got my my little, you know, my Prusa, which has been a dream, but there's still problems with that. So I find that it's really great that I've been able to help people. And I keep on forgetting, when I started printing, I created this document called 3D Printing for Beginners or something. I need to start sharing that document and having people add to it, because even today, someone who's in chat, I believe their name is Jedi something. I shared the document with them because they were having problems with their first layers. So I said, I don't know everything,
most users do when they first start off.
Yeah, here's a troubleshooting guide, and that, I think that was very helpful too. Oh, Jedi Spidey there. So yeah, I get messages and also just in chat. So that I feel a little bit more empowered to be able to help people or guide them in the right direction.
And that's really as much as you can do, you know, being able to learn information, good information, and be able to teach others. You spend most of your day in and around the communities, talking and helping people. I'm sure you see a lot of new people as well. So it's definitely good that you, even with just 2 printers, plus the knowledge you've learned from MakerDeck, you're able to significantly help people get started. So it's a great resource.
Yeah, we have some fantastic people. Actually, a lot of them are in chat. We've got Bob and Krusty and Fix'em Dude, K2. You know, there's a lot of people that have been very helpful to people with their various printers, and also, you know, with safety advice and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, and I have actually learned a whole lot watching your streams. So let's talk about your journey. So you are coming in on a year. You actually, just on Saturday, you're going to be celebrating your year of streaming. So
no,
yeah,
streaming.
Talk about not streaming, just
not streaming.
A year of printing. Okay.
So when I know people keep thinking it's 1 year of printing. I don't know if they typically do like the first year of printing. So I'd mix it up, because this is about the time where I got into 3D printing, where I started joining these communities. So I started off with an Ender 3 V2. It was a very good price. I didn't know anything about 3D printing. It was one of those, all right, I'll buy it and then figure it out later. I bought it, then I looked up a couple of reviews on it, a couple of tutorials, and then I got it in and I built it. I really didn't know what I was doing. It felt kind of weird. Like the whole assembly process was a bit odd. It didn't really make sense, but it worked out in the end, and I was able to get pretty dang good prints on it. And the first limitation I had was glass. It stuck way too well. I couldn't figure out how to get stuff off. It was a nightmare, to be honest. I didn't want to use it because everything stuck too well. So I quickly upgraded to a PEI sheet and did upgrade A, B, C, D, E. Because I got the printer so cheap, I spent a little bit more money on upgrades and tinkering because I didn't need a printer. It was more of like a fun toy at the time. And I never printed any of the things that I said, oh wow, I'm gonna have a pretty 3D printer. I'm gonna print all these things for my smart home cases and these random things around the house. Nope, still haven't a year from now. So maybe that's what I'll do. I will print off the stuff I said I was gonna print when I first got the printer. So I did that, I got that up and running and was printing with it for a little while. And then eventually decided I wanted to do a little bit more 3D printing. So I got some components. I first got a eBay printer. So back when there was a lot more variety of printers, people didn't know you could just buy really cheap printers on eBay that are returns. I got the Biqu BX from a specific seller, and it had some parts missing. One of the motor wires was just unplugged, so the motor wasn't spinning, and I'm guessing that's what the main issue was. But I was able to take that printer and add a bunch of parts to it, design some parts, really get deep into, I started with Fusion 360, designing some parts, and then I started streaming, or something around the lines of that. I think I was streaming on MakerDeck before I started streaming on my channel. So,
was that the Eiffel Tower? Was that one of your first things?
No, that was actually on the KP3S.
Okay.
So that was a bit into the whole printing.
I thought I remembered people's first makes.
I have no idea what my first make is. You can probably find it on MakerDeck. I'm not sure what I did, but I did a couple of prints. They failed pretty drastically. And I honestly can't tell you what I printed on MakerDeck because sometimes I stream it, sometimes I didn't. I was experimenting with my Canon camera, like a DSLR as webcam. It actually worked out quite well because of the low resolution needed by StreamYard. I was just using the Canon Camera Connect. So that was fun. And then I did a lot more printing. So I'm gonna quickly go down the list and kind of explain. I was surprised. I forgot about a lot of these things that I got. I don't know the specific order, but one of the next printers I got was another cheap printer, very cheap, the Wanhao D9. It was a 300mm bed slinger with no top build surface on it. It would have come with glass, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this printer and I'm gonna buy a PEI sheet for it. Turns out a 300mm PEI sheet on a printer with a very, very warpy bed, like a very thin and warpy bed, does not make for good burst layers. Even with the BL Touch, it was off about, I think, 0.6 to 0.8. It was unbelievably terrible, and I ended up just not really using it. I did a couple of prints on it. Nothing was amazing, and that was kind of a fun printer to play around with, but I used it for parts, like a lot of parts. And I still got part of like random stuff that I should probably just throw away because I'm never going to use ever again. Very custom panels for it that I just got to get rid of. So very bad experience in terms of getting a printer and using it, but a good experience in learning that, okay, this is what happens when you have a big printer and you go from glass to PEI. a glass sheet would have fixed my issues because glass
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really flex like PEI, as we talked about in a previous episode. So if I would have had a glass sheet on there, maybe I would have kept it. Oh, it also had V-wheels for the bed, and that's not good for that size either. Those were destroyed.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't know, what I didn't know with my first printer, was when you get the PEI sheet, you should put the magnet on the glass, not on the bed, because that really
for bigger printers, it's almost necessary. It really is. If you don't use a probe, if you use a probe, then you can compensate for it. That's what I did with the Kingroon. It worked out fine. It's about 0.3 off from edge to edge, and that's manageable. I can deal with that. But for a really big printer that just the bed isn't great, you can get away with using glass and then going a little bit slower.
Yeah, but if you put the magnet on top of the glass, not on top of the bed, because with the Fokoos, there's all sorts of screws, and the magnet just had all these little indentations. So then the second time around, I put the magnet on the glass, and you keep the glass was textured, so one side was smooth and one side was textured. So I put it on the smooth side.
Okay.
And yeah,
I would actually probably put it on the. I'd keep the smooth side because sometimes you want a really smooth finish. That you can only put the glass, so. That's
but
not a
I
bad
had
idea.
I had extra beds hanging around.
Yeah,
because I had an extra
you can
Fokoos.
just use an extra sheet. So that was my first I got the BX, the Biqu BX, and that wasn't too bad in terms of components. It needed a couple things, but it didn't really need anything. This printer needed a lot, too much for me to really deal with. So I put it aside and I got a Wanhao i3. I think they had a couple of the same, this around the same time. And that was kind of, sort of like a Prusa, but not quite. It's like if a Prusa was very jank, like it was quite jank. There's some stuff on it which was pretty cool. I've never had an X-axis that was just metal and not extrusions. It was very flimsy, but it worked, and I got a couple of test prints off of it. The tool head was very unique. I got some experiences with that. That was my first linear rod printer. Half of the bearings were bad, and I didn't deal with it. It was, again, a printer that would have taken too much work to fix up. But a lot of unique parts that I would have never purchased. So now when I look at a hot end, like a specific one, I can say, oh yeah, that goes in that style of printer. So it's kind of cool to see those components. And I at least salvaged it. It was worth it just for the power supply. Came with a Meanwhile power supply, and those essentially paid just as much as I would have for just buying that power supply. So that was kind of a win. And why I like buying cheap printers that aren't reality printers, because those don't come with meanwhiles now. So I got those two printers, and then, okay, I have a bunch of parts. What do I do from here? Well, I had the Wanhao, I had the big PEI sheet, which was a 330 by 330. For some reason, I got that size. I looked around, did some digging, and I ended up on the Simplecore printer by Rolohan. And that was a big custom Quarks Y. That's my good printer right now, and it works pretty well. I've been printing most of my ABS parts for this printer on it. If I need a print to look good, I generally put it on that printer. Has not been a simple process because it never came out of beta. A lot of parts I had to reprint or slightly tweak. Overall, pretty good printer, and I used a lot of parts from those other printers. But then I decided just to buy good components for it to make it a good printer. And in reality, it would have been better to get a Trident kit or something like kit base. But it didn't make sense for me to buy a kit for a printer where I had like half the parts. Same thing what I did for this printer. Why would I just buy a kit when I have half the parts already here? Okay. This one, at least I had good parts lying around. But for the Simplecore, for me, it would have been better to just do a Trident. Wanhao, yeah, Wanhao. Wanhao. It was like power spec. It wasn't even Wanhao. It was like power spec branded. It was, I think they're Micro Center returns, but
Wanhao. Krusty
Wanhao,
says Wanhao.
Wanhao, Wan. It's a printer.
We're from
good.
the East and we do vowel displacement all the time, so it's okay.
They weren't good printers. I don't recommend.
You don't even pronounce your last name properly, so it's okay.
I wouldn't recommend necessarily jumping into a very big and very custom printer, but Simplecore was at least simple. It was very minimal parts to print, very minimal pieces, and I would recommend building one, maybe with some special or slightly modified parts, but that's lasted me all this time, and just with some minor upgrades here and there. Then I fell into the Kingroon journey.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a journey. KP3S, I watched Nero's video where he took it, he put Clipper on it, and he was making that thing fly. I think it's this printer up here. It's a fast little printer for what it is. It's surprisingly fast. And I was able to do stuff like print a TPU Eiffel Tower, which is outside.
Okay.
I was able to do other Eiffel Towers on it. It worked pretty dang good. Speed benchies. Like, that was faster than the Simplecore because it's smaller and lighter. I ended up putting a Biqu H2 on it because the stock extruder is not the best. And I did some rail upgrades, but that was a really neat little printer, and that's kind of what sparked me to start recommending it as a budget option. I can still recommend it just personally, but the Pro, which I'll talk about in a second, that's kind of replaced it for me as like a cheaper printer that I've had a good experience with. But before that, I got this one down here, which is the KP5L. It was a very, very unique printer. And to this day, I don't know of any other printers that use, I think they're SG rails. They're very interesting. The rails are part of the frame and they use rods instead of bearings, but they're not typical. You'd have to check it out. Nero did another video on that, another reason why I kind of wanted to check it out. And would I recommend it? I can't say that, but it was definitely another printer that had another set of parts that's very unique. No other printer is like this, and it was fun to experiment with and be able to use. And I do use that. What I printed this on. So
have you ever returned a printer?
No.
Okay.
Because I buy them with the intention.
Okay.
If I was a typical user, maybe I would have considered returning a printer if it wasn't easy enough to operate. But I buy stuff with the intention of modding, with the intention of doing my own work to it. So if something breaks or something doesn't quite work great, instead of just returning it, I look and see how I can fix it, how I can modify it. Because that's the fun for me, is building, modifying, designing these printers. And even though they're not the best, even though they don't work perfectly, it's fun. And I get to kind of, like you, provide ginger climbing up in random spots.
Well, yeah, and that's where people like Fix 'em Dude and you benefit, because when people give up on 3D printing, obviously they haven't discovered MakerDeck, where we encourage everyone and help people. Then yes, Fix 'em Dude, who's in chat, he does have a problem where he adopts orphaned printers, and at least they have a place to live. They don't always have a place to grow, but they do have a place to live. So so you went from the Kingroons to what? What was it? What happened next?
So I recently got the KP3S Pro. I don't know what the timeline is for it, but the trilogy of the Kingroons, that one was pretty decent for me. I never even replaced the rails yet. I think I was having issues with the hot end. I killed the hot end on that. That was my fault. I tried to print PETG on it, and I printed it too hot. It gummed up, and not having an all-metal heat break just meant nope. And instead of just buying another heat break, I just modded it, because when something breaks, I don't like to replace it with stock parts. There's no fun in that for me. So I like to see what kind of fun things there is. Maybe I could try a new hot end, or try a new extruder, or try a new motion system. Again, this is all just fun for me, and I don't necessarily need to print, which is why I have a lot of printers with that car has been on that printer for many streams now. I don't use it because it needs work, and I'd rather work on the printers that do work. So after the Kingroons, I started, I think I started doing the Ginger. She's like
Ginger's always been there to help. She's always been a good assistant.
I started building the Rook printers. So these are the ones behind me right here. They're the mostly 3D printed printers from Rolohan. He had a couple before that I was interested in, but nothing quite like this. These were very simple printers that didn't require a lot of printing and claimed decent performance. So I built the first one, so the second one technically, because I got serial 1 for my little white printer, which is down there. And that was a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun with that original printer. It did speed benchies quite well. It did a lot of my prints really well. And then I built
that's part of how you built your channel too, because all of us got involved in helping picking colors and all those sorts of things. So you got us all involved in it, and I think a lot of people got involved through chat. It was a fun, and also through Discord and everything.
Definitely a fun project, and it was very exciting. It's something that's kind of new and unique. No one's really done a printer like this. Maker Vikings worked on his ABS printer, but I haven't seen anything that uses 4 rods for the Z-axis, and that's it. So it just got me intrigued. I thought I would build it, and eventually, fast forwarding, I built the Mk1. I did a live stream on that. I think I did the first major build of it. I'm still working on it. This is it's a 3D printed printer. There's going to be some issues, so I'm working on some stuff, trying to get it up to my standards, and I'll be doing another video on that. But that's been a really fun project, just to explore what you can do with 3D printing, because there's so many directions you can go and so many things you can do. 3D printing a printer, I didn't even know what 3D printers were a year ago. And now I'm 3D printing printers. It's it's wild. It's wild.
And you're still learning. That's the thing.
And I'm still learning.
Always
every day.
Learning.
Every day.
There's always something new. There's always something different, and there's different ways to do everything.
Did you know that if you have an ABS part and you tighten it too much and it discolors, you can use a heat gun to get rid of the discoloration? I thought it was a permanent issue. Yeah. So not only can you remove glue stick marks, white glue stick marks with a heat gun, you can also remove the stress marks from fasteners. I learned that from Steve Builds the other day. That blew my mind. Wow, that would have been nice to know a long time ago, because I have some printers that have stress marks on them from screwing it too tight. And then a couple more.
Yeah, just a few more. Just a few more.
The Kywoo. This was one of the kind of fire sale printers that a couple people were getting, and it looked intriguing. It was a different design. That's the one that's how do I show this? It's this one behind me, the orange one. It's the regular Kywoo Tycoon, the 240 by 240, but it had a lot of things kind of going for it that made it interesting. All linear rods except for the x-axis, which was a full-on linear rail. I ended up swapping over to a linear rail for the y-axis because I don't like to have this long of a rail that's 8mm, or sorry, rod. It seemed a little flexible. People were running into issues with it, so I bought that at the same time. But that's actually been my, I hate to say it, but my most consistently reliable printer. Not the best quality, but the most reliable in terms of I send a print to it and it kind of just works. It's still running Marlin 2. I still send, it has like a built-in Wi-Fi module that I send the prints to. It's very slow, but I'm at least able to do that, and I've gotten some decent prints from it. I printed these trays. The surface quality on the printer has been shockingly good. All of your color swap models I do right on that printer, because the quality is just incredibly good for surfaces. The walls, those are another story. Those are not good right now. So that's another printer where I'm gonna have to probably redo the entire tool head and change out the controller board. But another project printer, and I expected to get it as a project printer. I wouldn't just recommend a lot of these you go out and buy without some type of asterisk saying, you might need to fix this, 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 and this, and this. The only printer off the shelf right now that I can recommend anyone kind of just go buy is a Prusa. It has to be. Just because out of all the printers that I've seen people have, the Prusas just seem the most consistent and have good quality for what they are. I think you can kind of agree on that aspect.
Yeah, and if you're in the US, now you can, I would say to buy, if you can, buy directly from Prusa, because then you get the support, and you sort of built that, but you can also get them from Printed Solid. And there are some other resellers, but those are the two I would recommend for reliability and everything. But yeah, actually, I should mention this. When I was trying to decide what to get for my second printer, I'm pretty active in Wexter's Discord, and they all wanted me to get a kit. They wanted me to build a printer, whether it was the mini or the Mark III, and I was just so tired of working on the Focus, and I needed a printer that worked pretty fast. Oh, there we go. You get all the support if you buy from Printed Solid too. So there you go. I did get the build printer. I did not get the kit.
And that makes the most sense. It's still like it's a custom printer build, so you still have to assemble it correctly in order for it to function well.
If I the next printer I get, if I were to get something from Prusa, I would likely go with a kit, because I have enough experience now, and I think it might be something fun to do, and might be able to do. Oh, and we just got an answer. Prusa has no other authorized resellers in the US. So there you go. But again, as we've said many, many times, when it comes time to buy a printer, make sure that where you live, it is easy to get parts. Because for me, when the fan broke on my Prusa, I was able to get a new part. I didn't realize I could have gone to Vauxhall Lab, I think it's called, which is probably 10 miles away. Whatever.
Really?
I'm talking in US distance. It's off the island of Montreal, but it's fairly close. I could have gone there to purchase to actually pick up a fan. I had one sent within 48 hours. But for the Focus, for any parts that I needed, I had to order it from the US through Amazon, because I couldn't even use my own credit card or account with the Focus website. So I had to do it from Amazon and then have someone send it from the US. And so that was a hassle. So when you are buying a printer, make sure you can get the parts, even if it's a kit, or make sure you get lots of extra parts. So if you're looking at the BOM, the bill of materials or whatever, make sure that you get spares
stock
of
up
everything.
On the stuff that just might break, stuff that would hold up your printer from not working, which is a lot of the components. So you don't have to buy extra stepper motors, but stuff like heaters, thermistors, those typically fail one way or another, and they're cheap. I'd recommend getting some of those. Fans are something good to have on hand. But stuff like belts, you typically don't have to just replace a belt. V-wheels, yes, have some V-wheels on hand. Any other consumable item is a good thing to have on hand. Unfortunately, heaters, thermistors are I think consider consumable because if you have a blob of death, that can kill them. They can wear out or the wires can break.
And even simple things like nozzles, depending on
nozzles,
depending on your printer, it becomes a thing, because you really don't want to end up like I was right before Earth, trying to print off, MakerDeck coins and actually the 500% logo, which is in China, with Nick, trying to do those sorts of things with half a functional printer. So you want to make sure you have all the parts. Yeah.
Bob's saying build sheets. Or my recommendation, get double-sided flex sheets if you're going to get them. Don't just get single-sided, get double-sided. If you ruin one sheet, you flip it around and it'll just work. And you can still use the other sheet that you crashed into. Maybe put some painter's tape on top or a lot of glue stick or something. But there are uses that you'd want to have a double-sided sheet. But having extras of those. There's a lot of parts. I'd recommend talking with the Discord, maybe asking about a specific printer, because I can't just say get XYZ because there's so many different printers. So
we've talked about the Voron build that you're doing. So that's one thing. But what's on? I've said on the horizon. I'm interested in a lot of different printers. I don't have a budget for a new printer, but I've been looking at a few of. I'd actually love to try an Ender at some point. I know that people sort of plug their nose, but I think it would be fun to have something that I can easily modify. And there's a lot of people with experience.
Of different paths you can go from the Ender platform, just because of the size.
I would definitely, I'd love a Prusa Mini. I would love the Solvals look really interesting. And a dream would be anything. Definitely another Prusa.
Yeah, anything.
But you have a couple things that are
a couple
at least on your list. So what, as Mr. Hobbyist going up levels and levels, what's on your list there?
So I would consider myself, probably one step above just not a hobbyist, but an enthusiast, probably an enthusiast, where I'm building printers because it's fun, not because I need them, not because I necessarily want to print on them, but literally because I want to build them and see how they work. Like, that's the fun of it for me. So I'm getting a Bambu. So this is going to be sent over to me, but this is going to be probably the best printer for me that can do multicolor ABS, as well as just probably the most consistent multicolor prints. And that's one of the biggest reasons that I've been interested in getting a Bambu, is because of that capability. I have just regular printers that can do the same general printing, but in terms of the AMS and the expandability, with the ABS compatibility, that's going to be pretty beneficial for me. And again, think of my position. I like to take a printer, learn about it, and be able to share the experience. So having one of the most popular printers right now is going to be beneficial to, I know, a lot of people with those printers. So once they start failing, it'll be good to know how they fail and kind of what to look out for and what to replace them, if you can replace parts. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll have to build like an isolation chamber for it, so I can print with it at night.
We have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 Bambus on MakerDeck right now, and that's actually kind of low. We've had
for Toys for Tots, that'll be a nice printer to just do a lot of prints with. If I need to print something fast without really thinking about it, I'll just probably send it to there. So I'd rather have the Voron, and this is going to be kind of my baby slash kind of the fun printer, but they both have their purposes. So that's something that's upcoming. I'm currently working on Rolohan's newest and last 3D printed printer for probably a while, which is the Rook Evolution. I can show you it because he's posted videos. In fact, he has a channel teaser now, so I can show this thing. Why not? So this is kind of an in-progress beta printer. So
I love the colors.
Yeah, this was a, let's see how many colors I can use in this printer. So this is going to be a little enclosed Core XY printer. I'm going to be testing it with Polymaker's color changing PLA and see where it gets hot. That'll be interesting. Can you enclose a printer with PLA and print it with it in PLA if it's designed correctly? Who knows? So this is the first iteration. It's changed quite a bit for the second one. It's bigger, better. You can get all the details for that on his channel / Patreon. That's going to be one of those printers. But
So
that's
what
been
size
something.
is that?
It's still questionable, but around 150 to 160, I think that's the target. I'll be using a 150 salad fork bed for reference. So that's a fun printer, and that was all printed. So it was a fun project where I just spent a lot of time just printing off stuff and slowly assembling it. Lots and lots and lots of nuts. Oh my god, I have to disassemble that eventually. Probably keep it built because I don't want to take it apart. But that talking about like unique printers, that's about as unique as it gets. There's nothing else like that, and it's fun to be able to see what's on the market.
I love watching people. I love seeing people's Voron designs. Who is it? Noob. He did the Skittles. He's called it the Skittles printer. Mad Monkey Jordan. His is I think his is like hot pink and lime green. You know, there's some really fun things. And
I love the colored frames. These look so nice.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, when I reprinted the Einsy door for my Prusa, I did it in orange because I'm like, black, you know, and I'm actually thinking about all the different 3D printed parts on my printer. I'm like, I could do different colors. I could have a rainbow. I could have a nice color scheme going. But yeah, I think that's fun. They think it's great when people explore all those different
personalize your printer, make it yours. You know, it's not, you can use it as a tool, but it's also just fun to mess around with the colors, etc. And before I get too much further, we'll be doing the draw for the Polymaker filament very shortly, so make sure to fill in that form while you can. We'll be talking about actually, what's next? Just a few more things, and then we'll wrap up the stream.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I will say, if you're in Canada and you're doing a Voron build, Sparta is a great company to work with. Also, actually, for anybody in North America,
right? Order from them.
Or anywhere. But Sparta has some really great and fun colors, and they also they work with LDO for the kit.
Yep. Yeah, they have LDO kits, and that's what it's my go-to recommendation for Voron kits, is because it has everything you need. If you're gonna build a custom printer, get a good kit, get good parts. You're spending a lot of time.
Go with someone you know and trust. And we know and trust Joe from Sparta for sure. So.
Yep, definitely.
Not a paid promotion. That's just a personal endorsement.
Right. Yeah. It's good to know where to buy stuff from. I do work with West 3D, and they've been very reliable to me, both before and then after kind of doing some work with them. So.
Yeah, just make sure that you're going with something reliable and ask around. That's important.
Yeah, ask the community. Even just like poke into a chat and say, hey, what do you guys think of this? Don't take everyone's word just as, again, use your judgment, use your skills of Googling, but listen to what people have to say, because generally they could be right, they could be very wrong. But if many people are saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, you might not want to do it, or figure out why they're saying that. Do a little more research.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, it's been discussed a lot recently where people who have a certain printer, and if you come in with a problem, they blame you right away. And there is you do have to be careful with a certain amount of gatekeeping and blame pointing. So just proceed with caution, and also if you really need help, come to MakerDeck. We've got good people that at least, if I don't know anything about that type of printer, I can say this person is definitely someone who can put you in the right direction, because some of those groups, the Facebook groups and the Discords and things like that, it can ruin your experience, and you never remember. This is something actually Royal Nomi came on for Coffee Talk on MakerDeck the other day, and she said, I wish people remembered that this is a fun hobby. This is something fun, because people get so involved in the internal everything. It's not just personality conflicts. It's tribalism and all these sorts of things. And it's like, let's have fun. Let's share what we're making. Let's share what we're building and support each other. And yes, that's like utopia or something, but it is, you have to remember that this is a hobby. This is for most people, this is a hobby.
Right. Yeah. And business owners will probably not go this deep into any of this. So there's like two different sides for sure. So I think we both grown to and hobbyists / enthusiasts, and we use these tools for both fun and for education. And I think that's a pretty good place to be. Yeah.
So we do have a giveaway. The giveaway is pinned, and make sure that you get in on that. And if you are interested in some really fun stuff, in the next couple of in the next month or so, we will be celebrating MakerDeck's 1-year anniversary, and that's going to be a fun weekend of programming and different partnerships and things. But this Saturday, which is the 26th, correct?
No, 25th.
25th, sorry. See? Anyway, this Saturday, Austin will be doing his 1-year anniversaries on. So are you doing that on Twitch?
I'm doing that on Twitch, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be a fun time. Make sure you
just for fun
you come in.
Yeah, I'll be doing some giveaways from a bunch of different vendors. If you want to get your hands on some superpowers from LTO, that could be your chance. So lots of amazing people helping with that. I'm very appreciative, and I'm mostly appreciative of the community and people who've helped me get to where I am in terms of my knowledge. And I'm having fun. Like, this is fun, and this has been very good for me to have something that I can wake up and say, oh, I'm going to 3D print something today, or I'm going to work on this printer. It's something that I really feel connected with, if that makes any sense. So I'll continue to work on this Plinko board. Hopefully get it something working by the end of the week.
Yeah.
This doesn't take too long to print, luckily. So I'll be able to print another sheet and test it, see if it's up to my standards. So that'll be coming on Saturday.
And are we gonna harass Kevin to create something for you?
You don't have to, but it's just on Twitch. So if anyone's interested, that is my link, and we could post that in the video description too.
Yeah.
But we have fun over there, and I'm on late at night typically when I'm not building Voron, so everyone kind of like ends up there at the end of the night when everyone stops streaming, and
we get a little silly sometimes.
It's silly. It's fun. I do Twitch for fun, and I do YouTube for like rewatchable content. So I kind of separate those two things.
Yeah, but we have fun, and nobody takes anything personally. That's for sure.
It's fun. It's fun. So another few things I will leave the stream with, and then we'll do the giveaway. I have a couple more builds planned. The Simplecore 200. When I originally built my Simplecore, I bought enough components to build a 200 size printer because the frame came in a big kit and I had extra components. I cut them to a very specific size, and I've had that frame assembled. It's up there. It's been sitting there for a while. So I want to do that eventually, maybe take everything that I've learned from the original printer and all of this stuff and apply it to that to make a nice little simple printer for fun. And then I'll also be building the BugBu printer, which is a newer design that's kind of like a P1P, but replicated into a user, a buildable design. So
all right.
That's part of a few people in the community, and this seems like a fun build. I'm interested to see if you can build a printer that's equal performance to a Bambu, but build it yourself and for a lot cheaper. So it'll be fun to explore that and use a bunch of components that I have lying around and a couple that I had to buy.
So we had a few comments. One was Cheese Bacon said that you should do a printer video tour. So
Yeah, probably.
he would love to see all of your printers. So that might be, maybe that's something that you'll play with on Saturday.
Yeah,
So
definitely. The whole idea of it is kind of explaining. It's kind of like this, but a little more into detail with specifics that I've done, specific mods. I'll take the Ender and I'll explain all the different mods I've done to it. And then maybe I'll make a video on it for YouTube. I keep saying I'm gonna make videos, but I'm lazy and I just stream. So I did get a new camera. You're looking at a newer camera.
Yeah, it looks great.
Focusing works. Like, it actually, do you have any prints? The focusing works. So if you hold something up to the camera, it actually focuses on the
Wow. You can be a beauty guru too then.
Beauty guru?
Yeah, on YouTube where they
Oh yeah,
like,
like
yes.
buy some gloop. There you
There's
go.
this-
Beautiful.
Don't
beautiful
put that
gloop.
on your lips though. Do not put
No.
that on your lips.
It's far away and sealed, and this should be in the fridge, but it's also a decoration.
There were a couple comments that came through and I just highlighted them a little bit. One thing Bob Karn said is making mistakes is still making. And that's true. The whole process of even someone deciding that they want to make a flexi peep, you start out with, something that doesn't really move a lot, is maybe a little bit too thick, to something that's super flexy and easy to print. Maybe not a mistake. That's actually a perfectionist, but but it is, and when you're learning how to print or when you're working on your printer, it definitely is part of making. So
What's
that's
the quote? There's no learning without failure. You have to fail. You have to fail in order to learn. Otherwise, what are you learning? Right?
Yeah. And actually, Gourmet Crepe made a very good point for both of us. We are professionals. We can't have an episode without it. We are actually. This is a clip that K2 printed. So this is a lie.
Or keep my K2 clips.
He sent me one of his clips.
Right
So
back of the truck.
we are professional K2 clip printers.
They're fun.
Yes,
They're fun. And every time I need to put a filament away and I'll have a K2 clip, like, oh, I gotta go find a K2 clip, throw it on there.
Yep. There we go. Here's one that I printed. Of course, I did it in more than one color. So we are professional K2 clip printers. And then the other thing that Fixin' Dude said, which is kind of funny, was he's looking for an expert in 1000% MakerDeck logos. And mine is in several pieces. I need to get it together. I really need to get it together. I mean, I am an expert at 500 and 550% logos. So that'll be
a good experience to where you can say, hey, if you need to print large flat things on your printer and need them to go together well, that's exactly what I'm doing. Actually, I'm printing, these panels, which are they're big and they're flat, and there's issues doing that. You have to have a very good first layer. You have to have good surface layers, and there's a lot to consider. So you're now an expert at printing big things.
Yep, and it's I'm having fun with that. I'm really having fun. I wasn't sure. It's actually with the slices. They're across the room. I said I wasn't going to get up, but with the even the slices that put together that. I might end up doing similar to what Kevin did, and I might do half slices, so I can have even more colors. The beauty of the MakerDeck logo, is that you can have it. Here's in any color that you want, any style, any size. So we have fun with that. What else is going on? Yeah, so we got all sorts of things. We should mention, because it's a month away, you will be going somewhere in a month. Oh yeah,
of course. The Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival, rmrf.com.
I'm going to put a link here.
Yeah, if you're in the Colorado area or can make your way out there, it's a free convention, and a lot of us are going to be there. A lot of vendors, pretty much the main, the 3D printing community, if there was one, a lot of people are going to be there. I'll be building a Death Racer / Battle Racer, and
Time
that'll be
is
fun.
ticking.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have essentially all the electronics kind of working and tested, so that's the least of my concern. But the printed parts, those are coming soon. I have some Polymaker Galaxy Teal ABS, which is available now.
That sounds nice.
That's coming in. I'm gonna do the whole thing in that. The wheels black and white, and we'll see if I have any other accent colors. So
yeah,
that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm hoping to attend Murph. And I think both of us are going to try ERF, right? Because it's it's not too far for you, but I guess it's time off, so you'll have to see what happens.
That's when I have a vacation, like a couple weeks after. So we'll see. I definitely want to try to go, and it depends on if I can get help going to there, like Rocky Mountain. So,
but at Rocky Mountain, I guess you're gonna meet Cheese Bacon. Cheese Bacon will be going there. So
yay! Yeah, I'll be over at the Polymaker booth and the West 3D booth, kind of like one day.
And at these events, please don't be shy. It's the kind of thing where if you miss the opportunity to meet someone, you might miss meeting your new best friend. Who knows?
Yeah. Like it's really cool to be able to go to one of those places, see someone, and have them come back into your chat because you're like, oh, I saw you at that event. That was a lot of fun. We hung out, we went to the bar, had drinks, we shared our 3D printing experiences, the weird stuff we printed. So it's a lot of fun to be able to see people. Even like seeing people, I don't know what half of you guys look like. It's really awesome when we get into these hangouts and I can see who you are. It's a much more personal connection. So before we get any further, last chance to enter the giveaway for the Polymaker spool. Thanks to Polymaker for providing a spool to give away. I'll be drawing that in about a minute, so last chance to fill out that form. It was a brewery nearby. Nice. I don't drink a lot, but it's fun to go places and kind of hang out with people.
I like to see if there's craft root beer.
Craft root beer. Yeah, crafts like drinks. We have some of those in Maine. Very good.
That's my thing. So yes, and I would like to meet most of you. Most of you. Some of you, Other ones, whatever.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Wow,
I'd love to meet everyone. I'm like, I am a people person. That's why I really enjoy this. I think anyone knows if I'm watching MakerDeck, I'm like, that person's from this person, and that person's from that place, and this person's been doing this, and yeah, I'm a people person. Zombie lives in Maine, and so Zombie and I actually live fairly within hours close of each other. So someday we'll get to meet.
We'll meet up at Ben & Jerry's. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, that actually.
Go on the tour.
I haven't had ice cream for a year, so yeah, let's do that. I know.
A lot of ice cream. Way too much ice cream.
You can have all the ice cream, and then we'll go to Ben & Jerry's, and that'll just be the end of it. So
a lot of Tillamook recently because they just doubled their inventory in Maine. Tillamook in Maine, and it's good. It's really good. It's not too expensive.
I have actually been to. I've been to the where Tillamook makes all the cheese curds in Seattle.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
with
cool.
Perillo we went, so it was fun. Duff says, "Come to Winnipeg and meet at Sal's." Yes, actually, you need some wafer pie in your life, some chips and nips.
All right, I'm closing off the giveaway. Refresh, grab all the entries. We've got a lot today.
Yes, thank you everybody for being here in this chat, and yes.
About an hour and a half stream. That's probably about what we should aim for, is like around an hour and a half, depending on the time. I didn't think we were going to have enough to talk about today, to be honest. That flew by.
And we are getting lots of suggestions on topics to cover. I believe that Mud Wars wants us to talk about bed leveling. And I said, with that, we may want to bring in someone that's a little bit more of an expert. So we are also interested in bringing in a little guest segment if you're interested in that too. So
if you're coming to Maine, you can go one of the breweries in the local area. I live near the capital, so
I want to go to LL Bean next time I go to Maine.
Yeah, LL Bean. I like my jacket. My jacket's yellow bean. It's very nice.
Mine is not.
So,
Not this one, anyway.
speaking about stuff that is of good quality, let's do the draw for some filament. Switch over here and do that.
Yeah. There we go.
Nice. So, let's see how many... Oh, I don't have a thing. How many printers do I have?
Too many.
Too many.
I have
Anywhere
two.
between 1 and 20. It's probably some combination of that. Not
7.
for you. You don't get to pick.
I don't get to pick? Everybody, yeah, everybody.
Every time. It's Liz.
Can't take me anywhere.
No, I can't.
That's why I'm in my basement right now. My little basement apartment.
Yeah, basement gang, right?
Yeah.
At least yours is finished. And you don't have to put up curtains to make a
Well,
studio.
Something bit me last night, so
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
Was it like a human or an animal?
Pink thinks it's a spider, a giant spider that's hiding in one of my boxes that I printed.
Keep away the less desirable bugs.
Yeah.
Elavine tomorrow. Oh, jealous. All right, I'm seeing a lot of 10s. We'll go 10. So,
Okay.
good luck, everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is for a spool of Polymaker PLA, PTG, ABS, ASA. Locally, we're available. If you're in the US, you'll get a coupon for the respective US or Canadian store. Something like that. Strike third.
Strike third.
Strike third.
Strike third.
Whew, I can't pronounce anything. Are you in chat to claim your prize?
In chat? Mm-hmm.
In chat. Prusa and Bambu owners, what's bed loving? Still lovely bed. Just done
still need
differently.
to do things, yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe once I get the Bambu in, we can kind of go over the differences. So if you have any other topics for these streams, feel free to give your suggestions. You can message me, Liz, put in the Discord, put in MakerDeck, but make sure it is heard. Are you in chat? I don't think we've seen them yet. Are you here? I'll give you 30 more seconds. I need to do another draw. And just the one spool tonight. Strike 3, strike third. They just entered. No, maybe they didn't. They just entered recently, so that's what I was assuming they might be here. Probably taking a bath and eating a sandwich at the same time.
Or they ran out for Ben & Jerry's.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're like talking all this food.
Not in chat. Maybe you should level up this giveaway tonight too. Oh, let's go. Let's do another one.
All right. Well, sorry about that. Let's do another draw.
You snooze, you
snooze, you don't get filament. And it's gonna be Sheldon B. Sheldon, are you in chat? Are you in chat? You just won a spool if you are here. I'll give you 1 minute. Man, no one wants filament tonight.
All right, I got the timer set. Oh, there you go. There's Sheldon. Sheldon's here. Woo,
all right,
there you go.
Perfect. Awesome,
Perfect.
Awesome. I will copy this, and I will either send you a ginger.
I would like a ginger. Oh, she's so cute.
Oh, so cute. Yes, a cat that claws me and aggressively needs me and is very needy. Cats.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who's here. Make sure you leave your thumbs up. Local Maker, I didn't see your thumbs up yet, so no hot makes for you. Local Maker's been like doing some fun pizzas lately with pickles and ham and things. So yeah, we see One Tech Prince, Sheldon B, Monsoon Josh, Local Maker, Creative Bear, J.R. Kirk, Frankenbee Gaming, Mr. Ronco, Jedi Spidey. I could read everybody's names. Cheese Bacon, Makuder, Geek Toy Box is here. Tesselections, who's also Yak Drudge. See, I remember people. Gourmet Crepe. Actually, Gourmet Crepe and Monsoon Josh and Daddy Wazzy. A bunch of people have been helping out with MakerDeck while Kieran's been away. RC Maniac has. DC Sublime has. I see K2 Kevin in chat. He's probably hiding because he thinks we're going to ask him for something. Fix him, dude. He's probably going to hide too because ask him for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see a
it's
Fix
nice
and
to
Do car.
Dylan.
That's what I want, like a vehicle.
He does have one. He and Krusty worked on one for Earth. I think it's up there somewhere. J.R. Kirk. Yeah, so we've got all kinds of people that have been in chat and very active. Bob was here. Raw Bank. Yeah.
Gulsifer,
I'll just read through everything. Gulsifer. Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah. So
that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's like the mirror on I forget what show that is, where she's like, I see Austin and Ginger and Elizabeth and anyway, so we're just having fun. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us. As we said, we're sort of leveling up very slowly, learning a lot from other people, learning from our mistakes, making some mistakes that cost money, and enjoying almost every minute of the experience. There is crying in 3D printing.
Yeah, especially when
I have done enough of it.
Heater on a Rapido, and also split the nozzle in half because you've removed it without heating it up. That's a possibility. Yep. Lots of stuff, lots of failures in printing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also go buy the merch. You can get a nice, sorry Ginger, a nice shirt like this. This is designed by Fix 'em Dude. It is amazing. Like seriously, the merch is great. The designs are really good, so they're fun.
And you can
check those out.
Print MakerDeck things, and there's models in our Discord. There's models to make if you want some inspiration, and also just check in with us. We're always doing something fun. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you. We will see you next week. Well, we'll probably see you sooner because MakerDeck is 24/7, and also Austin's been doing lots of different streams. So.
Yep.
Merci beaucoup et à bientôt.
And goodbye.